Hello, you. It's me. And I was watching Undoomed today. Great channel, by the way. Um, and he was commenting about this woman who happens to be a doctor who transitions children. Um, she speaks about a young boy, young boy, who wanted to be a young girl. And so she affirmed that, gave the child puberty blockers, etc., etc. And I have a big problem with that. And I think mainly it's because of my own personal experience, which I will share briefly. When I was a kid, I didn't like being a girl. I hated it. What I wanted to do was be with my hero, who was my dad. And I wanted to watch football with him, play catch with him, play soldiers. I had a huge soldier kit, amazing soldier kit. Still have it, actually. And I used to love to set it up and play with it. Did I play with dolls? I did. Did I have lots of stuffed animals and girly stuff and Barbie stuff? Yeah, I did. But I really divided my time, you know, 40% to the more feminine things like playing with dolls, etc., and 60% into pursuing sports. I wanted to play sports so bad. I wanted to be good at them, and I never was. But I remember spending a whole summer when school was out. They had an after school playground that they left open during the summer, and I would go there every day and practice basketball because I wanted to be a basketball player. I did the same thing for baseball or softball as we played in school. And I wanted so badly to be good at sports. I wanted so badly to be a boy, to be strong, to just to be a boy. I wanted to be a boy. I hung out with a lot of boys, girls too. But as I got older, that changed. When I first really started developing into a woman, I cried. I was hysterical. I was humiliated when I went shopping for my first bra. I hated it. I was devastated and I didn't want to do it. I didn't think it was cute or pretty or adorable. I despised it. I did not want to have to wear a bra. And starting my period was devastating to me. It was painful, it was horrible, and I hated it. And if you had asked me at that point in time in my life, would you want to transition to being a boy? I would have said yes immediately. Because it was a nightmare for me. It really was. But, and here's the big but, as time went on and my body developing became a little more normalized, I had a big chest. I had a period every month. Never liked the periods, mind you, but you just come to accept them and deal with them as time goes on. And I started to actually appreciate my curvy figure and being female. I didn't hate it so much anymore. And I started to really like it. And so if you'd asked me at that point, do you want to be a boy? No. I'm comfortable for the most part in who I am. It didn't change my personality completely. I still did what was considered quote unquote boy things. I still love football. I still love to watch it. I still listen to heavy metal music and, try to be a badass. Because, well, you do that as a teen anyway. So facets of my personality didn't change just because I liked things that were quote unquote more boy-like. I was into, fast cars and, that sort of thing too. I love cars. That didn't change, but being comfortable being a female did. that I got to the point where I was comfortable. I was even happy to be female, and I love the way I look, and I was happy. Now, if they had transitioned me, which, if I was a kid these days, they might have, or tried to, um, then I would have never experienced what it's like to feel good and confident about myself in the skin that I was born in. I never would have had a child, which I did. I wouldn't have been able to have that because I would have been sterilized by the puberty blockers and the hormones. And that would have been devastating because that was a huge part of my life. I mean, obviously it still is, even though my child is grown and married and now hopefully will have some family of their own. That was a huge part of my life that I would not want to take back. And I would not have wanted it to be taken away from me either. And the thing is that a lot of children go through this. In fact, 97% of the children who go through this grow out of it. 97%. That's the majority. A lot of people are uncomfortable in adolescence, and that's normal. Sorry if you hear the screaming kids. I have neighbors. Anyway, that's normal. It's only, that leaves 3%. 3% of kids who don't grow out of it. And it could be for various reasons, including learning about being gay, bisexual, lesbian, but that also includes trans. In that 3%, there does indeed exist trans people. I know this because I've seen trans people in real life. I watch trans people on YouTube. They exist. They are real. But they are still in the minority. And we need to learn this and to accept this. They're still only 3%. Now they exist, but not as frequently as what we're doing with these poor kids, transitioning them, and then they detransition and they feel like their life is completely ruined because they can't have families of their own. Their voices will never change. Their body parts won't grow back. They are permanently scarred, like a motorcycle accident or a car accident. And when have you ever seen people celebrate losing a limb in a car accident is affirmation of who they are? It just doesn't work like that. We need to stop that. We need to stop and take a look. We need to understand that children change their minds sometimes within a couple minutes, within a couple hours, or within a day or two, because they're developing. And taking away that development, it's not just physical, it's emotional. Their brain is also developing when their body starts developing too. It's always developing. It doesn't really stop that development until they're 25. Or is it 25 to 30? Something like that. At least 25. So making these major permanent changes to children is detrimental to those children. Now, will there be a percentage of children who are happy and will stay trans? Yes. Yes, of course. Because trans people exist. But do the majority of them who were put into transition feel happy with who they are after their transition? That's the question, because I've seen so many people who detransitioned who regret everything that occurred and wish they could go back and start it over again. And if there's that many people detransitioning, then we need to look at this and say, hey, maybe transitioning a child or young adult is not a good idea. We need to wait until they have developed and grown and matured. And then, if they decide that transition is for them, that's the time to do it. That's the time to do it, not as children. I mean, if I had been forced into transition, I would have been devastated even more. I really would have. And I just feel, I feel sorry for people who thought it was the right thing, convinced it was the right thing, but they were like 15. You can convince a 15-year-old of a lot of things. Why? Because they haven't matured and developed yet. And I don't mean even physical, I mean emotional. Their brains have not matured enough to make those kind of decisions. And I think making those decisions for them, you don't know if it's a need or a want. Wants change. Needs don't. In this sense, they need to transition because they are so devastated by the way that they look. Then I think it's important to do so. But if I say today I want to be a girl, and then tomorrow I say, oh no, I want to be a boy, then I don't know what I want. And even when I was a kid, I knew I wanted to be male for the longest time. I just wanted to be a guy and develop muscles and be good at sports. I really wanted to be that. But I didn't need to be that. And I didn't discover that until later. And that's what we need to look at. That's why it is so important to not transition a child, because a child doesn't know. Just because a boy puts on makeup doesn't mean that he wants to be a girl. Maybe he just really likes makeup. There's a lot of boys who like makeup. Look at YouTube. A lot. And there's some that are really good at it. I mean, how many makeup gurus are men? You know? There's little boys who like to wear dresses because they think they're pretty. What's wrong with that? It doesn't mean anything. They just like the dress. Me liking to play sports doesn't mean I was boy-like or even a tomboy. It just meant that I like sports. I had diverse interests. And that's what we should be supporting, is the diverse interests, not transitioning a whole full body and making permanent changes to a child who can't make that decision. Anyway, that's all I got to say.